guys, what's up? Welcome to United Chokros. This is me, DV, and Leicester City 2, Man United 2. We've dropped points. Although I'm not happy about it, a lot of people are because they feel that it's a crucial 1 point. We went to a team which was second in the league before the game started, and going to their home and getting a point is something good to brag about, I beg to differ. I feel otherwise. It's what I can simply say is in short, put it in a short statement. We have dropped points. That's what we have done. And because if you look at the game, if you look at the entire 90 minutes, we were the better team. We created more chances. We could have scored easily 3 or 4 goals. And why did we lose? The same old reason. The same reason. Our defense, our fucking stupid defense. We keep on making those same mistakes again and again on consistent basis. And if you want to challenge for the title, if you want to challenge Liverpool for the title, who are doing so brilliantly, you have to win these games. You can't drop points and make an excuse saying that, oh, you know what? Leicester is a top side. They beat Man City 5-2. You be happy with that point. Look at the progress we are making. Oh, shut your mouth. Do you know what you're talking? At one point you say, we are challenging for the title. We'll win the title. And then after the game you say, it's okay. We've dropped points against a second place team. You know how hypocrite this sound? If you are a title contender, if you are challenging for the title, you have to win these games. You've not dropped points against City, you've not dropped points against Liverpool, you have dropped points against Leicester City. Okay, they are good, but you were better than them. We had to win that game, and we had to get 3 full points. We failed to do that. That is the reality. So accept that. I understand that you have your own opinion, but just don't come out and brag about it and say you don't know anything about football. We've got a one excellent point. Yeah, stop it. Just stop right there. Anyways, guys, today's video is all going to be about yesterday's match, and then I'm going to talk about January incomings and outgoings. I'm really sorry I couldn't do the video in the midweek because I was pretty busy with my personal stuff. So I'm going to talk about the January incomings and outgoings, and also I'll be talking about the Wolves game. Just took a 1 minute pre-match video on that game, and yeah, that's it. So guys, before I begin this video, I'll repeat myself. Please subscribe to my channel if you're new, and turn on the bell icon on the right hand side to get the latest notifications. So guys, points dropped is all I have to say about last night's game. Talking pointers, to begin with, the starting lineup, not convincing. Lindelof as a right back, shocking decision. Daniel James on the right wing, another shocking decision. Sometimes I fail to understand Solskjaer's thinking. I don't know what is his thinking, why does he do that. I liked one piece of thing that he did was starting Eric Bailly as centre back. He came out of after the post match in the post match interview, and he said that he started Eric Bailly to counter Vardy's pace because apparently Eric Bailly is, of course, he is our fastest centre back, and he's also brilliant in the air. So that's a wise decision that he made. But starting Lindelof and James on the right hand side, shocker, dreadful decision, and show that how poor we are when it comes to tactics at times. At times we really do wonders, and then at times do the stupid stuff. So yes, as the game progressed, we did pretty well. It was an evenly contested battle in the midfield, and then one moment of magic from our best player by far. In fact, I'll say in this video, best Premier League player, the best player in the Premier League is Bruno Fernandes. That magical pass from him, putting Rashford through, and well done Rashford in scoring that goal because he missed a couple of seaters later. So yes, he finished that goal. And we were leading 1-0, and then again what we do is stupidity. Now a lot of people are blaming Bruno Fernandes and David De Gea for that goal. I sometimes I feel there's an agenda going about David De Gea. He's been blamed for things that he doesn't do. People are waiting to pounce upon him. That goal is completely on Scott McTominay. I don't see why Bruno Fernandes or David De Gea has to be blamed. Why would you allow a player like Harvey Barnes, who is a professional player, to have that much amount of time on the ball Look at the goal post, see where David is, see where are the defenders, and then take a shot. Look at the amount of time he has. Scott McTominay needs to close him down. But what Scott McTominay is doing is observing social distancing on the pitch. That's what he's doing. And this is not the first time. That's why I'm always been skeptical about Scott McTominay. He did so well against Leeds United, 2 goals and assist, and then he does this. We all agreed that Scott McTominay is not a defensive midfielder. He's a box-to-box midfielder. But even though if you're playing as a number 8, you have to do your defensive duties. Look at Fred. Always closing in on players, not allowing them to make those through passes or take a shot. He may not be a world-class defender, not world-class center defensive midfielder, sorry. But yes, he does his job really well. Playing as a number 6 or number 8, he will not let his guard down. He will put in a tackle. He will close the players down. You don't get to see those shots, taken so easily when Fred is on the, near that player who's taking the shot. So that's the difference, and Scott McTominay has to learn. See, I'm not going to talk about how good or how bad he is, because I think Ole rates him very high. Even Mourinho did, and from what I've heard, even Sir Alex rates him very high. So I'm not going to talk about how poor or how bad is, or whether he should be a Man United player. He will be a Man United player under Ole. Ole likes him and sees something in him. I can only hope that he doesn't make that mistake again and keeps on improving. Now moving on, we managed to score a second goal. Introduction of Cavani, and look what he's done. I thought Cavani should have started that game instead of Daniel James, and Martial and Rashford could have played on the wings. But he came on, then he made a difference. Look at the awareness that he had. He came back to collect that ball, and then the moment he came back, Bruno made that run ahead. Look at the understanding they have so early. He put Bruno through, and although it was not a world-class finish, but what Bruno managed to do is put the ball away from Schmeichel so that he doesn't have a chance to save it. Excellent goal, and 2-1 with less than 10 minutes to go. I thought we should have wrapped up that game, but what we do is the same mistake again and again. You repeat that same mistake. What that second goal was, it's absolutely shambles. We have repeated the Sevilla act again. It is like revisiting that chapter. It is still coming back to haunt us, and we have revisited that chapter again. Same goal, absolutely same goal. And I'm going to tell you what is worst about yesterday's goal. First of all, Shaw shouldn't be letting that winger cross. Once the cross is made, Harry Maguire's positioning so bad that he cannot clear the ball. Number 2. See, I don't know what is wrong, what is with Harry Maguire and this low crosses. Either he's not been coached to clear his lines, or his positional awareness is not good, he's not been told about it, or he's actually pathetic. So I don't know what is it with him and his, clearance and positional awareness. Yes, alright, he's good in the air, he's good on the ball. I agree to that. But what about the other side of the defense? You have to clear your low crosses. You have to close in the defenders. Your positional awareness has to be good when the crosses come. None of that is good. And then Eric Bailly. I don't know whether it's his reflexes, or he's not marking Vardy, or he's not closing him down, because from where I see, one striker, 3 defenders in the center, in the box, and none of them could deal with that. And what makes this worst is this: in the Sevilla game, the Sevilla striker just had to tap in, and he did it really well. Over here, Jamie Vardy made a mess out of it, but yet he managed to score because our defender got a deflection and put it in. Now, see, I don't blame Tonzi for it, because these sort of deflections are, will keep on happening to every defender. What my concern is, we keep on repeating these mistakes game after game. Our centre backs are not aware of their position. They don't know what to do when a low cross is fired in. And I think most of the coaches are aware of this. How many attacks did Leicester City have? Hardly 2 or 3, and they scored 2 of them. That completely sums up our defense. That's how poor we have been. And I'm going to talk about the January centre backs that we are building to. Before I do that, I want to talk about the man of the match. My man of the match for yesterday's game was Fred. Brilliant display. Again, the tenacity he shows. his improvement game after game, the things that he does on the pitch. I think he's going to be a wonderful player. He's look at the improvement. He doesn't make the same kind of mistake. He's improving week in after week. What I've heard is staying back after the games or after the training session with Michael Carrick to improve his passing range. Really looks like a player who wants to play for the club and he wants to do well. And he is my man of the match. If Fred is your man of the match, smash a like on the video. If he is not your man of the match, if you think someone else who did better than him, please make sure to put in your opinion in the comment section. Always appreciated your opinion, guys. Guys, talking about the January transfer window, we've been linked to numerous players as we always get linked because we are Man United. A lot of players use our name to get good deals and contracts and transfers done. But the heavily linked player is David Alaba of Bayern Munich. Now, as much as I want to believe this transfer will happen, this looks very unlikely. Now, let's consider a hypothetical situation. If Man United board were, ambitious and yeah, all that. I know a lot of you want to imagine that situation, but unfortunately it's not. But yes, let's consider this as a hypothetical situation. Our board is competent and ambitious and want us to win titles. What we can do in this January transfer window? David Alaba wants to leave Bayern Munich. There's no way he's going to sign a new contract. They've offered him the best that they could. He either wants a different challenge or he's not happy with the offer that they've given him. But that's the best they can give him. That's what Bayern Munich has come out and said. Now, and what I've heard is he wants 12 million. That's surprisingly pretty less considering the fact that we've given 375 grand a week to Alexis Sanchez. So 12 million a year. So let's say if we offer him a 4-year contract, he's 28 now, he's still in his prime, he's doing really well, he can play the centre back, defensive midfielder, left back, number of positions he can play. So if we offer him a 4-year contract, 12 into 4 becomes 48 million. And go in there with some money, let's say 10-12 million. You tell Bayern, you know what, you're going to let him go for free, you're not going to get anything. Take this 12 million, we'll sign him right now, we'll give you the 12 million, it's a bonus for you. Of course Bayern will accept that, because in normal scenario they wouldn't accept it, they would let his contract run out. But right now the situation is as such that clubs don't have the money. Just like us, all other clubs, big clubs, are short of funds because of the ongoing COVID situation. So any money that comes in, Bayern will be happily ready to accept that. So I think it's an opportunity that we should create and get the signing done. Like I said, it's a hypothetical situation. Our board is not all that competent and this signing looks to be very difficult. If we sign David Alaba, we're going to be serious title contenders. He's a player, world-class player. A lot of people say he's 30, 31. No, he's not. He's just 28 and he's still doing his best. Go and watch the games, Bundesliga games. I watch them. And forget Bundesliga game. If you watch Champions League game, you would have got to know how good David Alaba still is. And the best part about him is he can play multiple positions. He can bring, he can play the defensive midfielder. He can play as a centre back. Left side centre back is his priority these days. So it's going to be an amazing signing, but we're going to sign him. Apparently, from what I've heard, is Man United want a centre back and a right winger. That's the priority. I'm going to talk about the targets. That is Man United's priority in a minute. But before I do that, I want to talk something good. Apparently, we've almost completed the signing of Moises Caicedo. He plays for Independiente del... I'm really sorry, I cannot pronounce the name. But yes, he plays for an Ecuadorian club and he's already represented the national team. He's done really well. I think he's even scored a goal. I don't know. I think he scored a goal for Ecuador and we have almost completed a signing. I have not watched his YouTube clips. I don't do that because a lot of times they're deceiving and in the past I've watched clips of Adnan Januzaj and there's another one, I don't remember his name, a couple of players, and they turned out to be really bad, not bad, but they didn't fulfill their level of talent that they had. So again, that's why I don't watch the videos, but from what I've read, what the stats tell me, he looks to be an amazing player, a 19-year-old player playing for an Ecuadorian club. He's already started for his national team. I don't think he will straight away go into our starting 11. He'll play for the reserves and then over a period of time we will slowly and steadily get into the team, and then a year after a year or two, he can be a regular starter for us. But right now, it looks to be a good signing. 5 million bargain deal. A player who a lot of people have spoken about in South America. Good people. People with footballing brains have spoken well about him. So I think it is good signing for us, and I think come January first week, he should be a Man United player unless we do a big time mess up. You don't know these people at the board are capable of doing that, but I don't think it'll happen. I think he will be a United player. Apart from him, I think Amad Diao also should be a United player. His work permit is done. He's got his Italian passport and he's okay to now play for Man United. So come 1st of January, he will be a United player. Now, going back to my point about transfer priority, centre back and right winger are Man United's priority. That's what I've read and heard from reliable journalists who know people from inside the club. And also the two players that are the priority are Jadon Sancho and Diogo Upamecano. Now, I don't want to talk about Jadon Sancho because it's like banging your head again against the wall, because we discussed so much about him in the summer transfer window and how bad it turned out to be. We made a mockery of ourselves. So even though he's not had a good season, he's been pretty poor. Dortmund are not going to budge on that transfer fee. They will still be, say we want 120 million, irrespective of his form. And I don't think we can sign Jadon Sancho in January. So I'm not going to talk much about it and waste my time, because I'm not like our board who will keep on wasting the time and resources. So moving on to the centre back priority. Yes, Man United's priority is centre back, and the player that is on their radar, that is the number one target, is Diogo Upamecano. Now, I really like the player. I know all of you do. He's rated really well, and he is apparently the next big thing. And he only has a 40 million release clause. We can't sign him in January because, not just us, anyone cannot sign him in January because he wants to finish his season this year with Leipzig and then move on to a different club, take the next step. And he only has a 40 million release clause, the same amount of money we paid for Donny van de Beek. So bargain deal for us. Do I think we will go in with that 40 million? Of course we will do. We will do that deal. We will pay the 40 million. But I'm saying we will pay the 40 million. We will do that deal. Doesn't mean Diogo Upamecano will be Man United player. Because even after you paying 40 million to Leipzig and negotiating everything, it will be up to Diogo Upamecano to choose the club. And look at the options he has. Now, I'm going to ask you to put yourself in Upamecano's shoes. You have you have PSG, Juventus, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and an incompetent board like Man United, who are not ambitious. From our entire Man United board and the higher authorities, only a manager is ambitious enough who wants to win the title. All the remaining board members, Ed Woodward and that stupid lawyer of his, they all are happy as long as we are in the Champions League. They get the money, and that's what they're happy with. We become Arsenal of 2010-2012 under Wenger. That's what we have become now. Happy and content with the Champions League spot. And Diogo Upamecano and many other players know about it. So they want to play for an ambitious club. A club that wants to win titles, wants to win Champions Leagues. And it's not Man United. So it will take a major convincing from our manager for Diogo Upamecano to come. I'm not saying that is 100% not done, but our chances are very slim, because from what I see is he looks going to be a Bayern Munich player, because Bayern Munich, Alaba, like I said, is going to leave Bayern Munich, and they're going to let go of Boateng as well. And let's not talk about Nicolas Sue. He's a German Lindelof. Because they were offering Nicolas Sue to us. He's very slow, very, very slow. So yes, they need a centre back, and I think Upamecano will sign Bayern Munich, because that is a team that wants to win the German Bundesliga every year, that wants to win the Champions League every year. They have that intent. They have footballing people who control transfers, and that's why I think he will choose either of any of, if not Bayern Munich, a club like Real Madrid, PSG, Juventus. Hell, he will choose Chelsea, but he will not choose us. I'm telling you that, because players want to play for a team who are ambitious, and we are not. So these are the players that we have linked to. Jack Grealish is another player, but I don't think that's just stupid rumor that goes around. Players that are looking to go out is Jones and I think Marcos Rojo and Lingard are looking to go on loan. Romero will leave permanently. I think even Rojo might leave permanently because we've been offered 6 million by Boca Juniors for Rojo. And if that's true, I think it's a good deal. And Rojo, it's good for Rojo as well. See, I don't like any of these players playing for Man United because they're not good enough. But that doesn't mean that I don't want good for them because at the end of the day they played for that jersey, and I'm sure they gave their heart out. It just didn't work out, and if they can go somewhere else and do better, I like all of you fans will be equally happy. At the end of the day, they were our players, and it didn't work out for them. Especially a player like Lingard, who was playing, who represented England and played semi-finals, and he did pretty well. It's not that he was bad at the World Cup. He was a regular starter, and he scored, some exceptional goals in the World Cup. So, I, if he goes on to do well at another club, I will be really happy. So, before I end this video, just a small talk on the Wolves game. I think Lindelof will miss that game. So will Aaron Wan-Bissaka, not fit enough. Tuanzebe will fit in the right back. Right game to rest someone like Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford. Wolves have not been that good enough. They have lost Diego Jota and that right back, and I don't remember his name, who plays for Tottenham. They've lost both of them, and Raul Jimenez, the number one striker, is not playing. He's going to have a long-term injury. It was a really bad injury, the skull injury. I really wish him, speedy recovery. But he'll be missing that game, and they are not the team that were, the good last season. Their form has not been that good. So I think we should be winning that game. 2-0 is my prediction. My scorers are going to be Bruno Fernandes and Edinson Cavani. It'll be a shame if Edinson Cavani doesn't start that game because he's done, he's proved his point. If he doesn't start this game, it's going to be really bad. I really don't want to talk about Donny van der Beek. I'm frustrated and annoyed about that part because I really don't understand what this manager's opinion is on Donny van der Beek and why did he even sign that player. Wonderful player but completely wasted at United. So guys, with this I'll come to the end of this video. Please make sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and also let me know in the comment section what do you think about our scoreline prediction of the Wolves vs United game. So guys, signing off for today. See you after the Wolves game, and you have a wonderful week ahead and take care of yourselves. Bye bye.